the sun is eclipsed, I will unleash the Kraken.
Do you know what the Kraken is? The Kraken is the end of us. A colossal elemental beast. It doesn't think, it doesn't feel. Even the gods fear it. Release the Kraken!
When you know that your people are God, you do what it takes to defend them. Get at whoever's against them, and don't hesitate to avenge them. When you know that your people are God, you thankful that you in their likeness. Ain't no more worshiping whiteness, and killing your enemies righteous. When you know that your people are God, you do what it takes to defend them. Get at whoever's against them, and don't hesitate to avenge them. When you know that your people are God, you thankful that you in their likeness. Ain't no more worshiping whiteness, and killing your enemies righteous. When you know that your people are God, come on. You know that they only on top cause we left them. When we wake up we gon' get them and put them back where our ancestors should've left them. Yeah, I said elf them, but y'all gon' protect them. If it's between them and God, you select them. Worship they idols, your spirit erect them. They killing our people, why can't you reject them? The Bible's corrupt, the Quran is corrupt. As long as they use them to subjugate us. If the religion not picking us up, then put the book down and don't pick it back up. We gods, the scriptures are huge. We already did everything that they do. Africans wrote everything that they read. Our ancestors bled but will never be dead. You know that your people are God. When you can survive on my offer, become educators and doctors. The enemy's mad cause he's not us. You know that your people are God. When after racism and lynching, you packing 1,000 inventions. Y'all niggas ain't paying attention. Or you know that your people are God. This is our planet. We was everywhere before anybody else was anywhere. We're the makers, the owners. Mankind was made in our image.
You know that your people are God. When after the savages take us, kidnap and murder and rape us, enslave us and still cannot break us. You know that your people are God. Whenever I step to my altar, the ancestors take what I offer and watch all my enemies falter. You know that your people are God. When after the savages take us, kidnap and murder and rape us, enslave us and still cannot break us. You know that your people are God. Whenever I step to my altar, the ancestors take what I offer and watch all my enemies falter. You know that your people are God. Who on this planet can stop the black woman? Chasing my seeds, you better take heed. When we wake up, all my enemies bleed. I'm a new African, whitey can't stop. Bucky can't steal and Heather can't block. Let's make it clear like a shot of Ciroc. I'ma get free while y'all wait on Barack. We gods, when we don't vote. We gods when they got us chained up on the boat. We gods in the pen, we gods in the bricks. There's nothing wrong with us that we cannot fix. Don't know your power, you can't see the light. This is your hour, you ready to fight? A mother, a sister, a warrior, wife. I know I'm a god, with that on my life. You know that your people are gods. When they infect you with a virus, you still having babies despite this. Can't help it, the whole woman's lifeless. You know that your people are gods. When they infect you with a virus, you still having babies despite this. Can't help it, the whole woman's lifeless. You know that your people are gods.
All right, peace and power, family. We should be broadcasting live on Facebook right now. There is a slight delay, and I understand that, so I'm definitely not looking at the Facebook feed while I do this feed. You know, hopefully you guys are getting audio. Okay, it's registering that the audio is coming through just fine on my end, but definitely let me know. We also have some people who are going to be signing on via the webinar, the online webinar that I'm hosting through Zoom. I actually posted that link in the info for this live. So if you want to come into the webinar, that way you'll be able to interact with me a little better, more in real time. If you're just watching on Facebook, your chat and everything you say is going to be on a delay. So I won't be able to really see it until maybe I've already made the point. But if you hit the link and go register, and I'm registering because I'm trying to build my email list up So I definitely want contact information and email addresses for everyone who attends Temple. So Temple is inside the webinar. That's where we're having Temple, but we're broadcasting Temple on Facebook for those who, won't register or don't register in the webinar, and I ain't mad at you, but it's perks to being in a webinar. For example, everybody who comes in the webinar today, I'm going to send a copy of Dr. Ishakamusa Barashango's African People and European Holidays of Mental Genocide. You know what I'm saying? So just one of the perks of being in the webinar, right? So just want to give people a little time to get in and we're going to get started. I see Brother Robert Lawson checking us out on Facebook. Peace and power to that black man. Powerful brother down there in Florida. If you go to the webinar and you register, the password for the webinar is New African. And let me go ahead and put the webinar info in the comments on Facebook. I just posted the link. Oh no, that's not the webinar link. Hold up. That's not the webinar link. Let me do this. Let me do this. Let me invite. All right. Let me do this. Let me do this. Let me come back over here. All right. Appreciate your patience as we get this together. All right. Peace, Renee Jolly. Peace, Satet. Appreciate your patience as we get this together. All right. Let me do this. That's the webinar link. And the password, if you guys go register, is New African. And that's where it's actually happening today. Okay, that's where it's actually happening. Those of you on Facebook will be on a slight delay. So when we pour libations, you may send me a name to pour libation, but I might not get that name until I'm through pouring libations. You know what I'm saying? So it costs nothing to go into the webinar. It's completely free. And we would love to have you. I would love to have you guys join me in that space if you can. All right. So, all right. But I do have the Facebook open. I am looking at the comments, so I will be able to at least eventually see. So why don't we do this? We're going to pour libations here in a minute. Those of you on Facebook, go ahead and submit a name. Who would you like for me to pour libations for this morning? Who would you like for me to pour libations for this morning? Okay. Thank you, Mr. McCole, out there sharing the video. Thank you for everyone. Thank you to everyone who shares our work, help get the word out there. Really appreciate it. I really appreciate it. All right. Why don't we go ahead and get started? I don't want to keep everybody long today. So we're going to go ahead and get started. My name's Baba Amin, of course, and this is the New African Temple. We are a universalist, an African-centered, universalist spiritual center, where the main thrust of our religion is African people coming together, okay, and creating spiritual unity amongst African people, putting African people back into the divinity picture. You know what I'm saying? And seeing ourselves as divinity, as a part of divinity, and not Johnny come latelys to divinity. Our goal is to marry our story with our spiritual walk. That's our goal. Our goal is to marry our story. Our goal is to uplift us. Our goal is to support us. Our goal is to enlighten us, but to bring us into a state of awareness of our divinity as a people, right? And to strengthen us spiritually, to get out here and do the work that we have to do without fear, without putting our former oppressors on a pedestal that they don't belong on. You know what I'm saying? To give us the bravery to fix our families, to give us the bravery to fix our communities and build new communities, to give us the courage to sit down with one another and do business with one another through the storm. I didn't say we don't become perfect so we don't ever treat each other bad or we don't ever get mad at each other. No, that's not what I mean. I mean that we get to the point where we can get through it together, where we can go through what we need to go through together, but still build successful communities and successful nations that have our liberation at heart. I was watching John Henrick Clarke this morning. He said, everything you do, from your religion, whatever, everything you do should feed your liberation. If it does not feed your liberation, then you should put it in the trash can of history. So Temple is our attempt to do that. Temple is our contribution to the spiritual unity and spiritual upliftment of African people. Ashe. So welcome to everybody that's watching. We will start with the pouring of libations this morning. Libations is an ancient African ceremony where we pay homage to those who came before us, who made it possible for us to be here. Those who came before us, who sacrificed so that you and I could be here. Those who came before us who make up who we are, because you are the ancestors. You are a culmination, right, of your ancestors, right? So who are we not to pour libation to ourselves, to the people who literally created us, right? And as African people, we are especially grateful. We are especially grateful to our ancestors because they withstood the worst Holocaust in human history so that you and I could be here. Somebody didn't throw themselves overboard so you can be here. Somebody withstood the breaking grounds so you can be here. Somebody had their land taken, the village burnt down, and they hang on and they held on just so you could be here. So who are we not to pay homage to those who made it possible for you and I to be here? I like to start off. I like to pour libations to my mother, Alice Baker. Ashe. I like to pour libations to my beautiful wife, Mama Nkoyo's grandmother, Ola Moans. Ashe. I see Sister Renee Jolly in Boston. She like to pour libations to Sister Sarah Smalls. Ashe. Ashe. I like to pour libations this morning to Dr. Ishakamusa Barashango. Ashe. I like to pour libations this morning for Dr. John Henrick Clarke. Ashe. On behalf of Sister Satet, we pour libations for Harry Williams Jr. Ashe. I like to pour libations for my brother, Kenneth Darren Thomas. Ashe. We like to pour libations for Jerome Deco Sr. Ashe. I like to pour libations to my auntie, Billy McLean. Ashe. I like to pour libations to Queen Harriet Tubman. Ashe. I like to pour libations to all those African mothers who had their children snatched from them during the Ma'afa. Ashe. I like to pour libations to all the African fathers who had their children snatched from them during the Ma'afa. Ashe. I like to pour libations for all the African children snatched from their African mothers and fathers during the Ma'afa. Ashe. I like to pour libations for my Uncle Hank. Ashe. I like to pour libations for Dacian Steptoe. Ashe. I like to pour libation for baby Deuce. Ashe. I like to pour libation for all those we lost in the middle passage. Ashe. We'll wait a second, see if there's anyone that you would like to pour libation to. Just put in the comments if you're on Facebook. Put in the chat if you're in the webinar. All right. Well, at this time, I'll pour libation for all those we have not named, but we certainly have not forgotten. Ashe. 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 Oh. All right. We really appreciate the ancestors. My little plant appreciates the ancestors this morning. Got some water this morning. And hopefully we can water each other this morning with some good information, right? And you're like, okay, Bob, you sitting in a room, sitting in the office, and you're gonna have Temple in the office. I thought you moved to Houston and you got with James Prince and all that. And yes, I did move to Houston, and I am working with James Prince. And I actually have a key to the building, the key to the school, and I can use the school to host Temple. And it's my every intention to launch Temple in Fifth Ward. However, I have a global audience right here on the camera. I have a global audience via Facebook, via Zoom, and I want to galvanize that audience as well. Matter of fact, I want to galvanize that audience before I galvanize the community. When we start broadcasting in the community, or when we start having Temple in the community, I want to make sure that we're broadcasting to the world at the same time. So while we're getting that together, while we're recruiting, because it has to happen organically. You know, we started Temple in Fort Worth. We got out there and talked to people, you know, and got people in here. You know, here, I don't know as many people. And I have some people asking already because, you know, we already have family down here. When are we going to start Temple? When are we going to start Temple? You know, and it's coming. It's coming. You know, we had to get settled in, get the family settled in, and we're working on a huge project right now in Fifth Ward that requires pretty much all of my attention. So we thought this would be the best way to get it going because, man, I ain't gonna even lie, y'all. I need to be fed. So much is going on. I need to be fed. I need a space where I can go and I can talk about us as a people, where I can talk about God, where I can talk about the deities, the Orisha, the Odu, or whatever you want to call it, where I can talk about our divinity. I need a place where we can go and share, you know what I'm saying, and create unity, create a space of unity, a space of understanding, a space of upliftment. You know what I'm saying? I need that. And this is my calling. This is my job. And it's time for me to get back on my job. All right. All right. We can't do anything without praying. We're going to pray. Never been a mighty African nation that wasn't spiritual at its base. And you're going to have all types of people in Temple. You're going to have Muslims in Temple. You have Christians in Temple. You have people who practice Ifa in Temple. You got people who don't have a spiritual system in Temple. Might be a Nuwapian in Temple. Might be a Black Hebrew in Temple. Might be some Moors in Temple, right? Might be some Rastas in Temple. You know what I'm saying? But one thing that we all have in common is that we're spiritual people at our core. And we believe in some form of divinity. So we do an African-centered universalist type of prayer where I use creator a lot. A creator, there might be a creatress to you, right? Abibi for Hodie Bomani, right? So that might be whatever that means to you. That's what I want you to visualize as we pray. All right. So whatever your preferred position of prayer is, please assume it right now. Creator, we come to you humbly and appreciative for this opportunity to share with one another, opportunity to build with one another, an opportunity to help each other grow. Creator, we thank you for our ancestors, because what they were able to endure, and we say they endured. We say they endured because we're the proof that they endured. We're grateful that what they endured shows us that we are divine people, shows us that we can't stop, shows us that we are tied to this earth, tied to the creation. We are a part of it. And it strengthens us, creating. It strengthens us to move into the future. I'm grateful for everybody that is currently on this line, currently on this feed. In the name of all those, a great line of divine, we pray. Amin Ra. All right. All right. That's what's up. All right. So we're going to get into a little something right now. I'm going to share a clip. One of my favorite clips of Dr. John Henrick Clarke. And he is going to be breaking down Africans and our relationship with the rest of the world, right? I like to call this Africa, you have no friends. And it's related to what we're going to be talking about today, because it's dealing with culture and dealing with the effects that oppression has on a people culturally and spiritually. You know, it deals with some preconceived notions that are really pushed during the holiday season that we need to put in the trash right now, right? The preconceived notions that are getting in our way from doing what we need to do as a people. Now, understand, temple is not necessarily for the uber conscious, in that I mean that when I teach, I'm not necessarily teaching to those who've been studying as long as I have. I'm teaching to those who are new. I'm teaching to those who are getting into study, those who are trying to learn how to study. And I'm not going to tell you what to believe or how to believe, but I'm going to show you scholarship. I'm going to show you scholarship and allow you to discern for yourself. I want to affect your worldview. That's what, and I want to strengthen the worldview of those of you who already have an African-centered worldview. I'm here to help strengthen that. And I want to build a team to help me get that done. I'm going to build a team to help get that done. Ashe. All right. So let me do this right quick. Let me share this quick clip from Dr. John Henrick Clarke. We're going to look at for about 10, 15 minutes of it. You know what I'm saying? Then we'll come back and we'll discuss it a little bit. And then we're going to move into our brief topic and we'll be done for the day. Let's do that. And of course, I'm going to make this this webinar available. All right, let me do this. And I'm going to share my screen in the webinar. Those of you who are in Facebook, it's going to take a couple of minutes before you can see it, but you'll see it in just a second. Okay. So, boom. Matter of fact, let me bring this out here. Window. And do this. Let's do this.
Supposed to be here early. They gave me another assignment. They didn't pick me up to go to the assignment. I followed their instructions and waited at the hotel. I would love to be here when I can be more fully in depth on this subject, because there's a whole lot of illusions about Africa's relationship with other people in the world. There's a whole lot of illusion about our relationship to the religions in the world. And these belief systems that had its origin in Africa, all of them, and there is no exception, turned on African people. I said there is no exception. And there's one thing you have to get through your mind and keep it. Nothing that ever came from the European mind was meant to do anything but facilitate European domination of the world. And I said there's no exception. Everything that was brought into this continent, everything, every idea, every so-called religion was meant to dominate and to control. The Arabs had no illusions about it. The Europeans had no illusions about it. You were the ones with the illusions. And yet every element that went into the making of every major religion in the world started in Africa. Why is it that you are so naive? You let people redress something that you invented, sell it back to you, and enslave you through it. I'm saying that all organized present religions are male chauvinist murder cults. And I say there is no exception. For I wanted to be here earlier. I wanted to deal with our relationship with the people of the world and the fact that we created peaceful nations that had no word for jail because no one had ever gone to one. No word for old people's home because no one ever threw away grandma and grandpa. No word for orphanages. We did all of this, and over half of human civilization was over before we knew that a European was in the world. Before he wore a shoe or lived in a house that had a window. Now, Africa has always and still is the prize for the whole world. We as a people have always been the world's richest people, culturally rich, mineral rich. We have always been the prize because we have always had and still have something that other people won't, think they can't do without, and don't care to pay for. Because we have always been the prize, we have been under siege for over 3,000 years. Nothing that ever brought into Africa from the outside was meant to do the African any good. That means all other religions. Islam was the handmaiden of Arab imperialism. Christianity was the handmaiden of European imperialism. The Hebrew faith was the handmaiden of a concept called the chosen people. Now, if God is kind and God is merciful and God has no stepchildren, he won't choose one over the other. And to say he chose some people, you're making him a bigot. And to say that he endorsed enslavement of one people over the other, you're making him an accessory to murder. The Arabs used Islam to rationalize their slavery and their imperialism. The Europeans used Christianity to rationalize their slavery and imperialism. Who are you kidding about friends in the world? Damn it, if you want a friend, look in the mirror.
Point made. Point made. The elder said, if you want friends, look in the mirror. If you want friends, look to yourself. I love that clip. I love that clip from Dr. Clarke because he's illustrating to us and letting us know that no one ever brought anything into Africa for Africans. And it's important because the propaganda during this particular season is full of innuendos and stories that point to a benevolent people, Europeans, traveling the world and civilizing the world and bringing peace and prosperity to the world. And that couldn't be further from the truth. And some might say, well, what does that have to do with today? Right? Well, it has a lot. It has everything to do with today because Europeans are still traveling the world under a facade of representing freedom and democracy and raising hell pretty much wherever they go. It's relevant because it gives us pause when it's time to seek justice for our communities, when it's time to exercise the freedoms that we claim we have. How blocked are we from really doing what we need to do? And someone say, he's talking about violence, he's talking about self-defense. I believe 110% in self-defense, but we ain't even on that level. We're not even fighting on a self-defense level here in America as Black people. Many of us don't even want to hurt white people's feelings with the truth. There's a special fear that we have. Now, there's a bravery that we claim when it comes to our spirituality. There's a bravery that we claim, none but God. I fear none but God. Only God can judge me, until it's time to deal with the truth about our relationship with the rest of the world and who we are as a people. I love that clip with Dr. Clarke because he kind of talks about that double consciousness. You can't have it both ways. You can't worship, as the scripture says, two masters, right? You're going to hate one and love the other. I believe that was in Matthew, wasn't it? Where you can't serve. It didn't say you shouldn't serve. It's impossible to serve two masters. You have to reject one in order to embrace the other, especially when they're both at odds. And when you look at European culture versus African culture, when you look at Europeans' ancestors versus our ancestors, they were at odds. So you're not going to be able to embrace European culture while embracing African culture, historically, especially because historically they were at odds. And there has been no reparation. There has been no repair. There has been no justice, no paying forward. Ain't nobody gave back the wealth that was stolen. So once you embrace your heritage, right, and you looking at this thing and you looking at what happened to your ancestors and you hear them crying out for some sort of justice, you hear them crying out, at least recognize me. At least acknowledge me. When you hear that and you feel that, then whatever bond you have with the culture that not only demonized our ancestors, but enslaved our ancestors, that bond is broken. That bond is broken when you can't at least remember your ancestors. They're not crying out for revenge. We ain't even got to that part. We ain't even got to the part to where we can say, okay, what do we do next? We have to work first spiritually to actually remember. And to remember doesn't just mean to recall. To remember, to remember. To remember means to rejoin, to bring our ancestors back into our lives, to relink ourselves to those that we come from. Remember, become a member again of the global African family. Remember to put back together the relationship, the link that we have with our past. Steve Harvey likes saying, oh, slavery, I don't want to hear nothing about no slavery. Let go of the past. Let go of the past. Let go of the past. A lot of Negroes like to tell us, let go of the past. Put the past in the past. Why you gotta let go of your past? Then you go to church on Sunday and you open up a Bible and everything in there happened in the past. Everything in there. We say, I look at the scripture and I go by the scripture. Well, that scripture was written in the past. But let go of your African past. Let that go. But go in the Bible, not even recognizing 90% of that is the African past. 90% of that is actually the African past. Go into your Bible and recognize that past. Go to history class and recognize European past. Thanksgiving time, recognize the Pilgrims, recognize the white past. Celebrate them as they celebrate their past. Represent and celebrate the 4th of July. Celebrate white people's past every 4th of July. Celebrate St. Patrick's Day. That's the Irish people's past. Celebrate Christmas. That's a European past. And Santa Claus, a European fable. Celebrate a white Jesus that existed in the past and celebrate him so hard that you believe that he's God and you believe that this man from the past is actually coming back, but let go of your past. Your past doesn't count. Your past, if you pay attention to what happened to you in the past, you just gonna get angry. Oh, and don't dare to recognize your past before slavery. That's another reason why that was such a beautiful clip by Dr. Clarke. He made it very clear, and it's been proven that you've built nations before, that you've had society, that you've built successful societies before. See, every time you build a nation, every time a nation is built, there's risk involved. Nations rise and nations fall. And if you don't lay a way of life or a culture in place that's conducive to survival in that particular situation, then you're gonna fall. And nature is unforgiving. Nature is unforgiving. When you make a wrong turn on the road of survival, you out of there. If you don't recognize where the lions are eating, if you don't recognize where the poisonous plants are growing, Nature is unforgiving. You're out of there. Ain't no spook God gonna come down and say, oh, look at him. Boy, keep eating this poison. Let me wake him back up. It doesn't work like that. Those of us who are here, we come from the people who have navigated the path in order to make it possible for us to be here. And there have been hella obstacles in that path. Not just during slavery, before slavery. Not only were our ancestors able to survive in Africa, they were able to thrive in Africa, build civilizations in Africa, do things in ancient Africa that we can't even duplicate today. You come from a mighty and powerful people. By the time there was a fall in African civilization was old. African civilization was ancient. Dr. Clarke talks about in that clip, and I think it's a little further on. Before Africans knew that a European existed in the world, African civilization was already old. Before the European had a shoe, before the European had a window, African civilizations, temples, pyramids, waterways, sewage systems, medicine, science, cattle ranching, farming, it's already ancient practices. Astronomy, already old in Africa. So our beginnings don't begin here. And our story is not going to end here either. But all kingdoms rise, kingdoms fall. You had 1,000 upon 1,000 upon 1,000 year run. By the time Africa was weakened enough to where Africans could be taken into slavery, we had done it all. Everybody after us was pretty much building upon what our ancestors had already done. And nobody found you in Africa running through the jungle with a bone in your nose unless that was the fashion and you wanted to run. But you were already a very spiritual people, so spiritual that when people came into Africa, we treated them as friends, treated them as business partners, which in turn made us vulnerable. So the Ma'afa happens. The Ma'afa happens when you're dealing with people who are from a segment of the planet that is not conducive to sharing. When you're dealing with a people who come from an existence, who come from a story that's not filled with harmony between the man and the woman. It's not filled with abundance. It's not filled with scientific and cultural and architectural achievement. They coming from a place that's filled with war. They're coming from an environment that's filled with technological achievement in the area of violence, in the area of harming, in the area of stealing and taking and pillaging, because that's the environment they live in. It's just the food don't grow as much. So they don't have a concept of trust. They don't have a concept of sharing. They don't trust that, what, you mean it's going to let us get the gold? No, man. We need to make them give us the gold. But they said they're going to give it to us. They'll stop one day. We need to enslave them and make them give us the gold. Like Dr. Clarke said in the clip, we've always been the prize. Africa's always had something that everybody else wanted. And even though Africans was willing to share it, nobody wants to share it. Everyone wants to control it and own it. So you have your Ma'afa, right? You have your Holocaust. Africans being drugged away from the continent, not just from European enslavers going west. You had Arab enslavers going east. And these people who did not go east, there's a lot of brown and white blood on the ground in Africa. Don't ever think your people didn't fight back. It took thousands of years to subjugate African people. But alas, it happened. To the point to where Africa eventually became one big colony, being divided up by the rest of the world. See World War I. And our ancestors, those of us who are here, we were brought to these shores. What type of people were brought over here? Pagan people who put people in pots? Nah. Very spiritual people who worship everything in nature. Spiritual people who believe that the Creator had his hand in her hand in all things. Spiritual people that prior to the coming of foreigners, right? Built civilizations that were based around spiritual principles that were directly related to how we survive. Spirit and science were the same thing. That's who we come from. But our story was interrupted. Our story was interrupted by the Atlantic slave trade and by colonialism. And we were brought into this country. And when we were brought into this country, we were snatched away from our four ways, our more ways, our norms. We were tortured. Our spiritual practices were outlawed. We were punished severely for speaking of home. Punished severely for attempting to master and learn how to read in their language. We were enslaved. We were enslaved for over 300 years. In a place that calls itself the land of the free, and that's the irony. In a place that calls itself the land of opportunity. And so here you have this people, this dynamic people brought over here to be enslaved, brought over here and enslaved based on a crazy notion by European scholars that we were enslavable, that we were natural slaves, that it was natural for us to be slaves to Europeans. Right? So we're brought over here in these chains to be slaves and enslaved. Future generations, our names are outlawed. You're given Christian names. And this is where you see them marrying their culture to religion. Right? This is when you see them marrying the culture to religion, saying, see, like Dr. Clarke says in the thing, Europeans and Arabs took Abrahamic religions and turned them into conquering religions. Turned them into tools for conquering. It's a trip. They say it's a God who loves all, except if you don't believe in God the way we do, then we can rape you. It's not a sin. We can enslave you. It's not a sin. We can kill you. It's not a sin in the name of the Lord. But he's your God too. And can you imagine being a young African, being raised on a plantation, being taught that this is your God? Jesus Christ is his son. He loves you and he loves me. And he wants you to serve me. He wants you to acknowledge me as your earthly master, and that you must worship your earthly master like you worship your heavenly master. You come from a people that have no God. This is a lie. But you don't know this. You come from a people that have no history. You come from a people that have no story. All the while they're stealing from your story. All the while they're taking aspects of your story. They're in the tombs in Egypt. They're everywhere taking aspects of your story and building whole secret societies around it. But you're being told you have no story. I found you as a savage. I found you as an animal. And only by being my slave on this planet will you reach heaven when you die. You don't want the burden of having to deal with this earth. That burden is the white man's burden. You just worry about on this plane of existence serving me and serving my interests, and God will reward you after you die. Okay. Where's my mom? Oh, we had to sell her. It's Christmas time. We had to sell her. It's the holidays. The best time to sell slaves. But don't worry about it. Well, what about my father? Your father wouldn't convert to Christianity, so we had to kill him. He's in hell with Satan right now. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine the psychological impact of recognizing you're a slave, recognizing you're a property, at the same time being fed propaganda that says, this is what you're supposed to be. This is what God wants you to be. This is what he wants you to do. And then being sat down and when Thanksgiving comes on a plantation and told a story about the white man's forefathers who came into this country and settled the country and made it possible for you all to have all that you have. Aren't you grateful? Let me tell you what happened to Mr. Jackson's slave. Mr. Jackson's Crops didn't come in, and he had to sell his slaves off all over the place, split the families up and everything. Did not keep us together this year. Ain't I a good master? Yeah, I had to beat you a few times. Yeah, I did kill your brother, but he tried to run. But aren't you still together? Ain't we making progress? We still have those conversations today, don't we? So, man, look, the community's being exploited. The community's being economically exploited. Look, our children are being lied to in school. They're not learning anything about themselves. Look, we're being criminalized. We're being mass incarcerated. Look at everything that's happening that's targeting the Black community. And people look at you and say, but haven't we made progress? Aren't things better? Didn't you get a Black mayor this year? Didn't you get a Black police chief last year? Look at that. Didn't you have a Black president? Look at that. There's other places in the world where Black folks ain't got it so good. Look how good you got it here. Look at that. This was every holiday season on a slave plantation. So now you're dealing with this dual consciousness. You're dealing with this longing for freedom that won't go away because you are your ancestors. And no matter how much white folks lied to you, your ancestor in your blood, your DNA, you knew that something wasn't right. That's why some of us, many of us, most of us never 100% conform to European culture. Never 100% conform to the lies. Because, and thank God, thank the Creator for those who created you that are inside of you, that spirit of revolution was always alive. So here you are during this holiday season, having a smile for Massa and act grateful for being a slave. And then when he leaves, you have to talk to God and ask God to deliver you from slavery. You're hoping that Massa get benevolent enough this year to let some of us go. You happy, you just relieved that because of the holidays, you ain't got to work as hard. Then on some plantations, the good plantations, you might even get a pass to go see a family member at another plantation. That's a good Thanksgiving. At Christmas, Master may come and give you some gifts, some extra sugar cane. He might give you your clothes allotment for the next year or your food allotment for the next year. Oh, Christmas coming. Everybody line up. Here come Master with the gifts. Ain't he a good Master? Ain't he a good Master? Just like the Master in heaven. And you thinking this Master in heaven is cool with this Master on earth. And this becomes your routine. So you stop even judging Christmas based on whether or not you get free. Freedom becomes a dream. Actual freedom becomes an afterthought. Man, can I just get an extra pair of pants without a hole in them this year? Maybe this year Master give us shoes. And if Master mess around and give you some shoes, you hollering at Jesus like, oh, I got some shoes. You see how the bar gets lowered? You see how the bar gets lowered through oppression? The bar for freedom, the bar for happiness gets lowered during oppression. Our bar is still low. Our bar is still not set high enough as far as our expectations for ourselves, our expectations for our community, our expectation as a people, and we still haven't remembered our ancestors. See, when you remember your ancestors, you want to know, well, what really happened with the Pilgrims? How should we look at the Mayflower? Was that good news for us? Now, notice I'm not dissing Thanksgiving. If you want to pick a day to give thanks and be grateful for everything you have, then by all means do that, because as African people, we have a lot to be grateful for. And I'm not talking about on no slavery scale, though. I'm not talking about on no slavery scale. Now, be grateful that you're still in the fight. Be grateful for that. Be grateful for the Africans who struggled and found each other after slavery and built whatever lineage it is that created you. Be grateful for that. Be grateful for your grandparents and great-grandparents who withstood Jim Crow, who navigated this life so you could be here. Definitely be grateful for that. And be grateful for your family. Be grateful for your children. But you need to be spreading that gratitude and letting them know exactly how grateful we should be when we sit down and break bread with one another. Because how can you understand How can you understand if you don't know the story? I walk in immense gratitude, but not for Abraham Lincoln. I don't have gratitude for Abraham Lincoln. I don't have gratitude for the Stars and Stripes. I walk in immense gratitude for the strength and the resolve that is taken for my people to survive the Stars and Stripes. That's the gratitude I walk in. Hell, every day is Thanksgiving when you wake up and you Black. Especially when you're an African and you're seeking to know about yourself. Especially when you're an African and you're building towards the future. You're building your family. You're building yourself. You're building your skills. You're connecting and linking with African people all over the globe because you see an African future where African people are sovereign and in control. In control of our own destiny. In control of our own culture. Where we don't have to worry about how this other group is going to respond when we mean them no harm. That's what you're building towards every day when you get up and you put your clothes on and you get clean and you get out here and you achieve your goals. Achieve these goals towards that. Your individual goals need to feed the collective. But holiday season, and Frederick Douglass talks about it in his memoirs, how master would use the holiday season to guilt and shame slaves. Aren't you grateful for what I gave to you? Aren't you grateful? But also to distract the enslaved because master needed to relax this time of year. This is the best time of year to escape. Matter of fact, you know who Santa Claus was? In her heyday, Santa Claus was Harriet Tubman. Harriet Tubman used to make her best runs during the holidays. That's when you finna see Moses. That's when Black Moses was coming. She was coming during the holidays. Thanksgiving time, Christmas time, Harriet Tubman was snatching folk up, and the people with her, they were snatching folk up and they was breaking Noah. Enslaved Africans were getting passes from their masters who got drunk and got lazy, they feeling benevolent. Master, can I get a pass to go into town? Master, can I get a pass? I got a cousin over there at the other plantation. Can I get a pass? Go see the cousin. And you get that pass, and hell, you pass cousin now, and you keep on going. Or you might stop and get cousin, say, cuz, I'm breaking north. You coming? It's funny because it'd be a tale of two Christmases. First, master had a great Christmas. He got his slaves. My Negroes is happy. We got a harvest coming in. You got a horrible Christmas. Because the reason why that harvest coming in, because you got work from can't see morning to can't see night. You don't know who's going to get bought or sold during the holiday season. Master getting you drunk, got y'all wrestling and fighting, and they would play ball. You know, they used to gather around and make the slaves play. See, they've been watching Black athletes perform during their holidays. They would get together. I got a boy strong as a bull. I got another boy strong as an ox. Well, let's let them fight. It's the holiday season. And they would encourage Africans to party, encourage Africans to get drunk because they wanted you to feel some semblance of happiness in the situation so you won't desire to leave the situation. So you had factions inside of the African slave community. Like, man, what y'all doing? Nigga, it's Christmas time. No, man, let's go. Man, this is when we get to kick it. We have that dichotomy today. We got us a Black president. Everybody say, woo! We get to kick it. We got a Black president. We get to kick it. Racism is over. This is post-racial America. We get to kick it. Those of us who are nationalists are still saying, no, let's go. No, we still need to be working to build sovereign communities. No, we still need to be building our own businesses. No, we still need African-centered education. No, we still need to take the European face off of God and replace it with our faith. No, we still need to elevate the woman to the same level of divinity as the man because these are survival codes that will propel us into the future. It got us through the past. When we let them go, we fail. See, it wasn't just the whip, and it wasn't the chains, and it wasn't the guns that made us weak. It was the rejection of our culture and our spiritual systems and the acceptance of foreign cultures and foreign spiritual systems that finally weakened the African. Not to mention the diseases that were brought in by foreigners. So here we are today with this dual consciousness, celebrating America's victories without even studying what the victory is about. And at the same time saying we still need equality in America. We still need to be treated like first-class citizens in America. Then America says, go fight. Let's go sign up and fight for the place that won't fight for us. It's dual consciousness. And in this time of year, this is the time of year when we're fed the most propaganda. When we're fed the pilgrim propaganda, like for Thanksgiving and celebrating when the Europeans sat down with the Native American. I'm glad it's the information age, because pretty much everybody know now that the European and the Native American was not friends, right? And I'm going to, none of y'all came to attend the webinar. You pretty much all on Facebook, so I ain't gonna send y'all a copy of this book. But I'm gonna share something with y'all about what was really going on with the pilgrims. Y'all to bear with me for a second here. This comes from a book by Dr. Ishakamusa Barashango called African People and European Holidays, A Mental Genocide. Okay? Shoot me an email. I may shoot you a copy, or you can go buy this. Okay? You can order this. All right? All right. If you have a black bookstore in the area, go support. Okay? All right. So I love Dr. Ishakamusa Barashango because he's quoting them. He's quoting them as far as the mental state of the so-called pilgrims, right? This isn't black power rhetoric, okay? And this is a pilgrims massacre right quick. Let me massacre this image of these pious white people who can't see, because they give us this image like, yeah, they enslaved us, but they meant well. I mean, the task was so overwhelming. They did something bad, but something good came up out of it. And as long as we accept that, we're accepting what happened to our ancestors. We have to forget our ancestors. We can't look at what was really done to them. You can't look at the rape. You can't look at the murder. Because if you look at what was done to our ancestors, I'm talking about specific accounts of what was done to our ancestors, it doesn't balance out. You're going to come away from that saying, no, this country should have never existed if all these people had to die in order for it to exist. And then for it to exist, and those who come from those who killed all these people are not making any sort of repayment to these people. Come on, man. The mental state of the pilgrims. 44, this is the first group of pilgrims that landed on Plymouth Rock, okay, in that first winter here in America. 44 of the Pilgrim Fathers died in their first winter in America. Governor Bradford said of these survivors, and I believe this was written in the General History of Virginia, the 4th book, page 294, scarce 50 remained, and of these were only 6 or 7 sound persons. George Thorpe, a highly educated colonist, thought, however, that despondency was the real cause. He said in 1621, more do die here of the disease of the mind than of the body. So that first group wasn't sitting around trying to be friends with Native Americans. They referred to Native Americans as savages. They were here struggling, trying to survive themselves. And there was a dynamic amongst them. There were haves and have-nots among them. That's why when people try to just go to the black-white thing or the crayon box thing, I don't jump into that, right? White folks ain't done nothing to Africans that they don't do to each other. They enslave each other, right? And you have haves and have-nots among the pilgrims. And the haves were not sharing with the have-nots, and the have-nots were going crazy. Let's see here. Check this out. Neil E.D. quotes the Virginia Assembly of 1623 in its complaint against Governor Thomas Smythe. One man killed his wife to eat, for which he was burned. Many fed on corpses. Other instances of eating corpses and killing Indians and eating them occurred as late as 1846. This is significant because one great charge against Negroes was that their ancestors were cannibals. Y'all, the so-called first Thanksgiving, Native Americans wasn't sitting at the table. Native Americans was on the table. That wild turkey symbolizes that wild savage. That's not your culture. He goes on to talk about the pilgrims as drunks and sodomites. Documentation, man. Lazy pilgrims stealing from the Native Americans. Y'all, that's not you. Kill that noise. Kill that noise. That's not you. That's not us. That's not who we are. And we've dealt with this. We've always known this. I ain't telling you nothing you don't. I'm giving you specifics, but you've known it. Black folks have always had a different mindset during the holidays than white folks. We just get together on Thanksgiving to celebrate our family. I know you're not celebrating no pilgrims, but that programming is out there. That program was out there when I was a child. It's out there for your children as well. And you don't have to say anything about it. They just know that whatever you wish for over the holidays, you ain't going to wish for what the pilgrims built to go away. You're going to continue to wish to be a part of it. You're going to continue to wish to strengthen it. You just want to be, you want to be ruled by them. You just want to be ruled nicely by them. And that's good enough for them. It's good enough for them that the day after you give thanks for your family, you're going to go out and give all your money to their family. Because they're raising each other to run stores and open department stores and be owners and producers, and you're being raised to be a consumer and a worker. And you're going to pray hard on Thanksgiving. And you're going to get up and you're going to thank the Lord the day after Thanksgiving. And you're going to go make people rich who don't even believe in Thanksgiving. You're going to go make people rich who don't believe in your Christ or your prophet mind. You're going to go make people rich who hate you. You're going to make people rich who support policy that suppresses you. You're going to go make them, you're going to go fatten their pockets the next day. But you're willing to trade that because you got this dual consciousness, because you're going to be out sincerely buying things for people that you love. Just like a master would make a deal with you and you worked all that extra. Just so on the Christmas time, your babies could get some extra clothes. When you offered to work double, so master wouldn't sell your wife away. So master wouldn't sell your son away, while you hurried up and taught him how to pick cotton without cutting it, saying, master, he's going to be the best cotton picker on the plantation, because you wanted your children to hurry up and have value so they wouldn't be sold. You was cutting deals. You was cutting deals on the plantation after Thanksgiving because you know that one of the most popular Christmas gifts was a slave. And y'all prayed for freedom, and y'all prayed, and y'all looked up from dinner, and that next day it was horror. That next day you wondered what master thinking. Who's next? What's going on? Are we getting somebody new? When somebody new came, you looking like, okay, I got to welcome them in, because it ain't that they knew. You wondering who they snatched from. Who did they lose? Is this girl they bringing in here snatched from her mama? Where's her mama? Where's her brothers and sisters? I was snatched from my family. Let me take her in and show her how to cope, how to deal with this reality. So fresh from giving thanks to terror. And then Christmas is right around the corner. In the next few weeks, you don't know if you're going to be a Christmas gift. In the next few weeks, you don't know what Matt's going to do when he gets drunk, when he have all his friends over and they want to come out here and play. Are they going to play with your wife this year? Are they going to play with your little daughters? One of these little perverts going to come and play with your little son. Merry Christmas. Hell, I guarantee the number one thing our people were celebrating after slavery and the holidays came, this is our first holiday without crackers. This is my first holiday without worrying about a white man sleeping with my wife during the holidays. This is the first holiday I ain't got to worry about my child being taken and sold to someone else, with a bow being put on one of my children and given as a gift to a white boy that lived in another state. Oh yeah, our people celebrate the holidays, not just because you want to be like the white man, but oh my God, the relief that came when you were no longer on the plantation. They say during the holidays, right, the house slaves got to eat the leftovers, right? They got to eat the leftovers. And a lot of times the house slaves acted like they were better than the so-called than the field slaves, right? The house Africans act like they were better than the house Africans. And then those in the field had to go out there and catch and kill, get wild game, whatever wild game they could find, they could catch it, cook it, and eat it up. Who you think had the best meat? The African in the field. I don't care if he caught a squirrel. A fresh squirrel tastes better than a leftover turkey that a crack of hands done been all over. And I'm not being prejudiced when I say that. I'm saying these people carry diseases. Y'all see their hairs, they shed their hair in the food. But when you have that house Negro mentality, you think that the white man's leftovers are better than whatever you can produce on your own. And we still deal with that today. Our children in school, that education they getting, that's a white man's leftovers. Yeah, pass the test and you get your high school diploma. That's a leftover education. You getting what's left over. We saved the best part for our children across town. They're doing projects your babies ain't doing. They're taking courses that's not available. They're giving lifetime projections and opportunities that ain't coming to your side of town. You getting the leftovers. They'll take your athletes, a couple of your brightest minds, and send them over to their school because athletes bring money to their school. But the rest of y'all, you getting massive leftovers. And we got Negroes in our office that scoff at the idea of independent Black education, that scoff at the idea of putting African-centered education in schools, and they try to convince us that we should be happy with the leftovers. My God. Speaking of, you getting his leftover God too. You getting his leftover religion too. These are his leftovers. White Jesus is the Europeans' leftovers. He stopped eating Jesus a long time ago. George Washington, them, the founding fathers of this country, they didn't even really believe in Jesus. They used religion as a political tool, and that's it. They used to have parties and rituals away from everybody where they would dress up as the devil and do a bunch of sinning and have orgies and debauchery, and then be at church on Sunday morning because that was a political tool. These politicians today use religion as a political tool. Conservatives sit up and they talk about God, God bless America, God bless. They don't believe in God. They don't believe in God. They believe in gun. But they know religion is a good political tool. They use it in their negotiations with Israel. You're going to protect Israel because God said so. Yeah, you're the chosen people. Of course, you're all going to die in a lake of fire. Religion as a political tool. Your ancestors were heathens. They don't believe in the Lord Jesus Christ, so they don't deserve any rights of a human being. Political tool. And they use Thanksgiving as a political tool. They use Christmas as a political tool and an economic tool. Don't be used. Don't be a tool. Take ownership. Yes, celebrate your family coming together. Because the story of African people finding each other after slavery is one that should never die. Research stories of Black families reuniting after slavery. There are narratives out there of African people walking from state to state on foot looking for mothers that they hadn't seen in 10 years, looking for children that they hadn't seen in 20 years. There are stories of mothers finding children after the children have become adults and the children rejecting them, saying, I don't know you. These are stories that scriptures are made of. These are stories of people setting out. They don't have a cell phone. They don't have a car. People setting out on foot, the sky being a map, being a compass, running into people along the way, not knowing that this is an aggressive white man or a white man that's going to let me pass. And they're braving it. They're going on courageous journeys looking for family. that was sold away from them while being enslaved. So yes, celebrate your family. You celebrate. That's why the black family is sacred, because only God can keep this thing together. They didn't go through what you went through. White families in this country never had to be split because of slavery. They didn't have a period where they had to go looking for one another. They didn't have to take the last. They didn't have to get lynched. They didn't have to take the rape. They didn't have to go through everything you've had to go through to keep your family together. And don't feel guilty when you bring that up. Hell, they did it. Their ancestors did it. So the fact that you look up and after slavery, less than 100 years after slavery, they say the strongest nuclear family in America was the black family. Less than 100 years after slavery, the most married couple in America was the black couple. The concept of extended family, that's ours. Because you know what? When I get sold to a plantation, and you got sold to a plantation, and your peoples was from Alabama, my people's in Texas, and me and you working and slaving in Georgia, we cousins now. We brother now. That's why we call each other brother. That's why we call each other sister. That's why we started calling each other blood and calling each other cuz, because you might be my blood. I don't know. You might be my cuz. It wasn't a gang thing. It was a fact. It was a fact of life. And so when somebody had no place, we gave them a place, and we brought that practice from Africa with us. And it was those African cultural practices that made us survive slavery. Not Abraham Lincoln didn't save you. Africa saved you. African culture saved you. The fact that you didn't come from a place where you only looked out for those who was kin to you. See, you don't come from that. You come from a village. So the village concept helped you survive the plantation. Because you come from a place that believed in forgiveness. You didn't kill a girl because someone raped her like Europeans did. You didn't do that. You didn't render her useless because she was no longer a virgin. You knew how to forgive each other. So you knew what your sister went through. So even though Master was having his way, you still made love. You still fell in love, and you still made African children. Y'all, there are indigenous people on this earth who have encountered white people that no longer exist. The people of Tasmania, who are just as black as you and me, they didn't have the adaptation that our ancestors developed or that our ancestors had. They're gone, y'all. After being with Europeans, I think for less than 100 years, there are none left. You have Native Americans on reservations right now. Yeah, they got some form of reparation, but mentally they haven't recovered. Spiritually, they haven't recovered. So they have the highest suicide rate among people in this country. Some of the highest drug addiction and alcoholism rates, because they still haven't recovered mentally from this, from interacting with Europeans. Africa is achieving more and more independence on the continent, right, in various ways, but Africa is still a colony in a lot of ways. Africa is still dealing with neo-colonialism. You have Africans who still haven't remembered their ancestors, who still reject their African past. They still want to be British. They still want to be French, and then come and tell you, you're not African, I am. What's your name, George? Evidently, you ain't African yet either. France still gets paid from 14 different African countries. Man, it hasn't just been the spread of the religions. It hasn't just been the guns and the violence. It hasn't just been the culture. It's also been the disease. The unsafe and unclean conditions in Europe turned Europeans into walking epidemics. Smallpox that nearly wiped out whole Native American nations. Y'all, go look at World War I. Go look up the bird flu. Go look up the bird flu in World War I. You'll see that the a bird flu epidemic started in 1917 in Kansas, in America. When World War I started, the American troops gave it to the French troops in France. When they invaded Africa, and I'm talking about in World War I, they were battles in Africa, in West Africa, North Africa, East Africa, and South Africa. And almost 3 million Africans died from the bird flu. More Africans died from the disease that Europeans brought than from the guns. They say that more people died in 25 days from the bird flu than died in 25 years from AIDS. So not only are you dealing with an aggressor that has a gun, not only are you dealing with an aggressor that's bringing a religious or belief system that contradicts the one that you've been raised with, you're dealing with an aggressor that just by breathing on you could be breathing poison into your body. It's ironic how during Jim Crow, black people would go into white restaurants and eat off of the dishes, and white people would throw the dishes away as if the black people might contaminate them. And the black people are in the restaurant thinking that their progress is being made, and they're eating off these dishes that they probably have washed, thinking that you're not going to get contaminated from the European, when historically the European has been contaminating you, not the other way around. That's what this mentality can do. And right now today, we're still allowing European culture to contaminate us through these vaccinations that have been proven to cause autism. The food that they're packaging and selling to you that we trust so blindly, that's filled with artificial preservatives and sugar and whatnot, and steroids and GMOs and whatnot, we're still allowing ourselves to be contaminated. We're getting diabetes, we're suffering from high blood pressure, and we think it's because of the stress. The stress compounds it. We're getting a combo meal of the stress of racism and the poison that's in the food. And they're poisoning the food because it's cheaper to process that way. For profit. And yeah, they selling it to everybody, not just you. But the have-nots always get it worse. Just like the have-nots got it with the Pilgrims. Captain John Smith, in his memoirs that you could find in the General Assembly of Virginia, 1621, he talked about how the poorer sort had taken up cannibalism, that the poorer sort had gone out and hunted down savages, Native Americans, and ate them. Number one, if you a group and y'all together, see, that's not African culture. You a group and y'all together. How you got rich and poor? You in this new place, everybody new, fresh start. How you still got rich and poor? And how can you sit up and be rich and allow the poor to resort to cannibalism? It's built in their culture. So we sit up today, and the rich today allow the poor to fall into degeneracy, allow the poor to sell themselves, sell their bodies, compromise their very existence to get something that those who are rich could easily share with the poor. And we look at the point and say, I guess it just couldn't hold up. But I got a place for you. We can make you a slave. If I catch you taking something, even though I facilitate you not having nothing, if I catch you taking something, I can make you a slave. Doing slavery. Same speech. Even though I'm the reason you don't have nothing. If I catch you stealing something, I'm going to punish you. Even though you hungry, you better only eat what you can buy or what I give you. If you try to go any further than the distance I prescribe for you, I will punish you and God will punish you. And we still hold that mentality today. I'm here to tell you that that's not what the Creator wants for you. That's not what the ancestors want for you. They want you to be the greatest you that you can be, regardless of other people's feelings. They want us as a people to come together and build powerful families, powerful communities, and in turn and in time, powerful nations. They want us to continue to navigate this world, but they want us to be smart about it. They want us to build power where we can build power, not sit back and just be powerless and complain. They want you to work on yourself. They want you to be disciplined. They want you to study more. They want you to know their story. They want you to invest your time and your resources and efforts that lift us up and make us stronger so we can lift them up and make their memories stronger. In the Quran, it says, and certainly we know those among you who go forward, and certainly we know those among you who lag behind. How ironic that if you're not learning from the past, you're the one that's lagging behind. It's 2018, about to be 2019. And if you don't even know who we were before slavery and only got kind of an understanding of who we were after, you lagging behind. And it'll be those who know who we are and whose we are that's going to push us into the future for us. I don't hate everybody else. I don't. I love to see the day where there's peace throughout the world. But nobody's going to be free until Africa is free. Until Africa is liberated, there's no such thing as liberation. As long as African people across the globe have to suffer so other people can live, as long as other folks are willing to take from Africa and allow Africans to be the poorest people on the planet, there will be no peace. There will be no liberation. Not because Africans are fighting back, but because the very earth is going to fight back. The universe is going to fight back. Our ancestors are fighting back. The creator is fighting back. The perpetrators are fighting each other. We have a unique opportunity in this day, in this time, in this space, to remember who we are, to recapture who we are, and to act accordingly. That's the message I have for you today. I hope you come away from this understanding that you come from the strongest people to ever walk the planet. Hope you come away from this with a thirst to learn more about our story and about how the creator and the ancestors have guided us through the Ma'afa. Hope you come away from this wanting to build an institution like this that will give inspiration every Sunday, every week. Would also host study groups throughout the week. An organization that will be inside the community, tangible, inside the Black community, offering events to the community, helping to circulate dollars in the community, launching businesses, launching relationships right out of that institution. I hope you're interested in doing that. I hope you're like, man, we got to get this out to everybody. Man, everybody need to understand why we should be grateful. Everybody should understand that we're dealing with a double consciousness. We got to let go of one of these masters. We got to let go of our European masters. We got to let go of that culture and operate in our own. I hope that's how you feeling right now. And I hope you're feeling that culture that I'm telling you to operate in is the culture for you. It's not a culture of losers. It's not a culture of weakness. It's a culture of strength, and it's the culture that has carried you thus far through the Ma'afa, and that's what's going to carry you into the future. Not 100% what our ancestors did in the past. No, a combination of what our ancestors have done in the past, the proper understanding and innovation we have today, and the ability and the power that we have to add to our culture that will propel us into the future. We're not the same African that got on the slave ship. We're something new. We're a combination of Wolof people, Igbo people, Ashanti people, Congolese people, and more. We Seminoles. We Black Hawk and Blackfoot and more. The Creator has been with us the whole time, but That you don't find them when white folks being nice to you. That ain't, oh, I got approved for the car. That ain't what I'm talking about. That ain't what I'm talking about. You ain't even supposed to be here by anybody else's logic. And not only are you here, the world is still watching you. The world is still admiring your beauty. The world is still admiring your spirituality, still admiring your inner strength. And my gosh, the jinn, the evil ones, they work overtime to pull you away from your nature. They work overtime to get you to be more like them, more misogynistic like them, more selfish and materialistic like them. And we are in a fight for the minds and hearts of ourselves. I'm not teaching you this just so you can survive white people. We need to embrace our culture so we can survive ourselves and survive each other. You can donate to the temple by donating to our school, the Uhuru Academy, at uhuruacademy.com/donate. You can also donate to us via Cash App at $ Uhuru Academy. I'll put it in the comments. What do y'all think? Any questions? Any questions, comments, or concerns? What do y'all think about what we talked about today? What do y'all think about? Any feedback in the comments? And hopefully I can see all of the comments. Any feedback in the comments? Also, I want you guys to visit uhuruacademy.com, visit our school store. We have some new apparel that's available. We're also enrolling for our online homeschool. I want to give a special shout out to Mama Ashley Prince and the team at the Prince Circle of Legends Academy here in Houston. I want to give a special shout out to Baba Bomani and Sister Kamaria Ajamu of the Uhuru Academy Fort Worth campus as well for doing an excellent job with the youth there. I want to shout out to Supreme Rock Africa and Kari Menashe Africa, the pull-up had the best wings in Fort Worth, and Menashe's Moments, the best massage in Texas. You definitely want to get with them. I want to shout out to the RBG Nation out there, everybody flying the red, black, and green. And thank you. Thank you for listening today. Thank you for being a part of Temple today. It wasn't too bad, was it? I will be making this lecture available for those who would like it in your archives. I may attach a little donation to it, y'all, only because she can't eat your love. Look, I'm not going to do it for them. I'm not going to go to their seminary. I'm not going to preach for them. I'm going to preach for God. I'm going to preach for you. I'm going to preach for my ancestors. I love you. I don't mind telling you. Have a powerful week this week and love on your family. Love on your family. Y'all do a family tree this week. Trace your lineage this week. Love on your family. Tell your nieces and nephews how beautiful they are. Expose them to African kings and queens this week. Love on your family. You know what? I'm willing to do I'm willing to do some, you know what? I'm going to do a Black History. I'm doing an online Black History camp this week for babies that are out of school on vacation. Give them to me for maybe 3 hours a day. Give them 3 hours. 3 hours where they're learning about self. What y'all think about that? I'm going to do the flyer right now. Look, I give myself jobs. And you know what? If you're willing to do it, if you're willing to sign up between today and tomorrow, I'll charge you $20 for the whole week. What? Matter of fact, why don't we do Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday? Because I know that you guys probably want to be out on that Thanksgiving Day. That's when all the families going to be there. So why don't we say a 3-day Black History camp? Why don't we put that together? A 3-day Black History camp for the youth online. Or should I do one for adults too? I don't know, y'all. In the comments or message me. Give me some ideas. If you want to help, let's work on this. Let's work on that today. All right? Let's do something. Y'all, I have to work. I have to do this work. There is no choice. I have no say in the matter. This is when I breathe. This is water to me. I'm so full right now. I am so full right now. I hope you are too. Let's make something happen. I love you. Black Power.